Everybody's behind. Why don't you sit over here? You can
You have an in-house kirtan gang, Maharaj?
Excuse me?
You have an in-house kirtan gang?
We have an in-house kirtan gang?
Yes, yes.
Yes, we do.
We just claps for.
Hmm?
For beats, we do just claps.
Yeah, you can just clap. Yes. You want to close that?
Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Jai Om Vishnuvad Paramahansa Paripurajaka Sushishina AC Bhakti Vedanta Swami Raj Prabhupada Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnavrinda Ki Jai Namacharya Shri Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Prem Prabhu Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktavrinda Ki Jai Sri Sri Radha Krishna Gopinath Sham Kund Radha Kund Giri Govardhan Ki Jai Vrindavan Tham Ki Jai Navdev Tham Ki Jai Jagannath Puri Ki Jai Ganga Mai Ki Jai Jamana Mai Ki Jai Tulsi Devi Ki Jai Bhakti Devi Ki Jai Samaveta Bhaktavrinda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. Gaur Premanande.
Hari Hari Bol. Thank you so much, Maharaj, and thank you to your on-site Kirtan band, Hare Krishna. And welcome everyone for Srimad Bhagavatam with His Holiness Jayadvaita Swami. It is Monday, October 21st, 2024 in New York. And tonight, or to this morning, we are starting with Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 7. And today's beginning text is number 10, according to my notes. So glad you could see that, Maharaj. Now you're in Sri Mayapur Dham now, yes?
Yes.
Jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So what we're hearing now is the narration of the what happened when Daksha's head was reattached. Well, he had a goat head reattached, and now we're hearing the narration of what happened after that. Maitreya Muni is speaking this from Tada Shadvaja Dvesha Kolilatma Prajapatihi Shivavaloka Dabhavach Charadhrada Ivamala. At that time, when Daksha saw Lord Shiva, who rides upon a bull, his heart, which was polluted by envy of Lord Shiva, was immediately cleansed, just as the water in a lake is cleansed by autumn rains. Here is an example of why Lord Shiva is called auspicious. If anyone sees Lord Shiva with devotion and reverence, his heart is immediately cleansed. King Daksha was polluted by envy of Lord Shiva, and yet by seeing him with a little love and devotion, his heart immediately became cleansed. In the rainy season, the reservoirs of water become dirty and muddy. But as soon as the autumn rain comes, all the water immediately becomes clear and transparent. Similarly, although Daksha's heart was impure because of his having slandered Lord Shiva, for which he was severely punished, Daksha now came to consciousness, and just by seeing Lord Shiva with veneration and respect, he became immediately purified. Om Jnana Timidantasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vashadi Gaur Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Here Prabhupada talks about the quality of seeing. Previously, Daksha had a very envious mentality towards Lord Shiva, but now, upon coming back to consciousness, back to life, his heart has changed. And this made all the difference in his ability to appreciate Lord Shiva and his own state of consciousness. Because he was envious before, he was unhappy, and he had an unhappy end. Now, by the grace of the Lord, by the grace of Lord Shiva, his head has been reattached, or the goat head, whatever. He's got a head now, and now his attitude is completely different. And why? It's just stated here that he was able to see Lord Shiva with a little bit of reverence and devotion. And that's all it took, apparently, to change his whole consciousness around. We can think of how Krishna says that if you see me in a certain way, that person actually sees, sapashyati. Others don't actually see Krishna. We're not able to see Krishna because we have envious hearts towards Krishna. And Krishna is so kind that he keeps himself in the background. If you don't want to see me, I won't. You won't. It's as simple as that. You won't. But just as a person, upon seeing the holy Dham, say Vrindavan Dham, if you have an impure heart, you'll see impure things. But if your own heart is pure, you'll see Vrindavan as it is. You'll see Krishna as it is, as he is. You'll see Lord Shiva as he is. And the way Prabhupada explains it here actually brought to mind a question that Daksha, it says, was very severely punished. Not everyone is punished in this severe way and then comes back to life. But it seems that we often in the material world have to suffer some great blow to our pride, either affected by the material nature or somehow or other. We need to be brought to a state of great humbleness before we're able to appreciate the greatness of Krishna's devotees, the greatness of Krishna, the greatness of Krishna's creation. And the natural question that might arise here is that, well, how can I develop this sort of reverence, admiration, a little bit of Krishna himself, without having my head removed from my trunk? And the initial answer that came to me as I was thinking about this is that when you see Shastra Chakshusha, when you're able to see through the eyes of the Shastra, then you're seeing things as they actually are. So it seems that our nightly practice of reading Srimad Bhagavatam is an antidote to having to have our heads removed so that we can appreciate the greatness of Krishna's devotees. Maharaj, I'd love to hear what you may have to say on this.
Thank you, Kendra. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Nami Namaste Saraswati Deve Gaudavani Pracharne Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschata Deshatare Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaurabhakta Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Vanchakopatarupyascha Kripasindhupyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo. The Kalilatma, Daksha is described as having a polluted heart, Dvesha Kalilatma, polluted by envy. And he became purified simply by seeing Lord Shiva. The Prabhupada mentions that this is the greatness of Lord Shiva. Simply by seeing him, one becomes purified. Another thought is that one offends a Vaishnava, but then if one is a little regretful, if one understands I've made a mistake, even though I may have been hateful toward a Vaishnava, envious toward a Vaishnava, by seeing him, my consciousness becomes purified. Oh, such a nice devotee, actually. And I was so offensive because the Vaishnava is associated with Krishna. One becomes purified simply by seeing the Vaishnava. But one's consciousness has to be a little pure. Those who are totally offensive they'll see the Vaishnava and they'll think, yeah. But those who are a little purified will appreciate, yes, actually it was me, it was my fault. When we offend on the internet, we generally lose this opportunity. Everything is distant. We don't see people actually. And we just hit the keyboard and hit the person. But when we have personal face-to-face dealings with devotees, we have the opportunity to appreciate them more. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Maharaj. Hare Krishna. Any comments or questions before we move on to text number 11, which I'm hoping Madhupati Prabhu can read. Priti Purna Madhavi Devi says, Hare Krishna Maharaj, can we say for sincere souls, punishment is quicker, so it inhibits them from committing more offenses, while insincere souls keep committing mistakes?
Yeah, because it's mercy. Just like we pray to Krishna, or we pray to the devotee, please give me your mercy. So this is mercy. To get mercy doesn't just mean to give some apparent blessing. Sometimes mercy comes in the form of a strong rebuke or strong punishment. So if we get punished by the Vaishnava or rebuked by the Vaishnava, that's mercy. And if we don't, and if the mercy doesn't come in some other form, then we're less fortunate. And that will come out in Daksha's prayers.
Thank you, Maharaj. Anything else before we move on here? Let's see, okay.
Saraswati has a hand.
Oh, yes, please, Saraswati Mata, go ahead.
Pranams, Parampuja Maharaj, and all the Vaishnavas. Um, I was thinking back to when I was a child. There was a show I really enjoyed. It was called Joe 90. And this little boy, he had a device whereby when there was a situation that required specific and technical knowledge, he had this device that he could transfer knowledge from that expert to him so that he could help. And I always used to think, oh, if only there was such a way, when I admire these advanced devotees, if there was a way that I could, of course, it's not a magical feat. We all have to undergo purification, but it always made me think, oh, this advanced devotee is the person who has the qualities that I so much want in myself. But while we're on this journey, over here we see Daksh with just a little bit of reverence. He was able to come to his senses in one way, but the problem could be that while we're on this journey, we're oscillating between coming to our senses and then all of a sudden being knocked out and then being completely controlled by the modes of material nature. Whatever the modes are dictating, we are more or less following that in some ways even blindly. So this is a very painful phase when you're sort of, yes, you come to your senses and then you're knocked out. So I was wondering, Maharaj, if there's something you could speak about this while we're in this phase where we're not solidly able to always remain in our senses. Hare Krishna.
Therefore, strong devotional service, strong devotional practice, tivrena bhakti yogena. If we think that we'll do all nonsense and then some magic will kick in and everything will work, or I'll be quickly purified, that's not the way to do it. Some magic may happen that I don't magic. Therefore, strong chanting, strong association with devotees, strong hearing from Shastra, strong reading, strictly following regulative principles. And Prabhupada said routine activities, rising early in the morning, taking bath, chanting, and so on. These activities purify the heart. Otherwise, why are we doing them? Why are they prescribed for us? They're prescribed because they're effective. So all of these things, then when there is some opportunity for association with the great soul, or whether there's some other opportunity for advancement, everything else is supporting us. Otherwise, we have no regulative principles or regulated life, and we don't regularly chant, or we're lax, then we won't be as fit to receive mercy and get the benefit of the mercy. Still, mercy may help us, but we'd like to be as, eligible as possible. Hare Krishna.
Maharaj, she says, thank you, Maharaj. So, anything else for moving on? Right. Madhupati Prabhu, could you read of 11, 12, and I believe 13 has a purport, so if you could read all three, that would be nice.
Okay. Namo Vishnupada Krishna Prasaya Bhutale Purata Jayadvaita Swami. Bhavasthavaya Kritadhi Nashakno Nuragata Outkantyat Baspa Kalaya Samparetam Sutam Smaran. King Daksha wanted to offer prayers to Lord Shiva, but as he remembered the ill-fated death of his daughter Sati, his eyes filled with tears, and in bereavement his voice choked up and he could not say anything. Next verse. Krishrat sanstabhyat Chamanaha Prema Vivalita Sudhi Sasamsha Nirvya Alikena Bhave Nesham Prajapati. At this time, King Daksha, afflicted by love and affection, was very much awakened to his real senses. With great endeavor, he pacified his mind, checked his feelings, and with pure consciousness began to offer prayers to Lord Shiva. Daksha Vacha Bhuyanugraha aho bhavata krito me dandas toya mahibrito yad api pralabdha na brahma bandhushu chavam bhagavan avagya tubhyam harecha kuta eva drita vrateshu. King Daksha said, My dear Lord Shiva, I committed a great offense against you, but you are so kind that instead of withdrawing your mercy, you have done me a great favor by punishing me. You and Lord Vishnu never neglect even useless, unqualified brahmanas. Why then should you neglect me, who am engaged in performing sacrifices? Although Daksha felt defeated, he knew that his punishment was simply the great mercy of Lord Shiva. He remembered that Lord Shiva and Lord Vishnu are never neglectful of the brahmanas, even though the brahmanas are sometimes unqualified. According to Vedic civilization, a descendant of a brahmana family should never be heavily punished. This was exemplified in Arjuna's treatment of Aswathama. Aswathama was the son of a great brahmana, Dronacharya, and in spite of his having committed the great offense of killing all the sleeping sons of the Pandavas, for which he was condemned even by Lord Krishna, Arjuna excused him by not killing him because he happened to be the son of a Brahmana. The word Brahma Bandhushu, used here is significant. Brahma Bandhu means a person who is born of a Brahmana father, but whose activities are not up to the standard of the Brahmanas. Such a person is not a Brahmana, but a Brahma Bandhu. Daksha proved himself to be a Brahma Bandhu. He was born of a great Brahmana father, Lord Brahma, but his treatment of Lord Shiva was not exactly Brahmanical. Therefore, he admitted that he was not a perfect Brahmana. Lord Shiva and Lord Vishnu, however, are affectionate even to an imperfect Brahmana. Lord Shiva punished Daksha not as one does his enemy. Rather, he punished Daksha just to bring him to his senses, so that he would know that he had done wrong. Daksha could understand this, and he acknowledged the great mercy of Lord Krishna and Lord Shiva towards the fallen Brahmanas, including even himself. Although he was fallen, his vow was to execute the sacrifice, as is the duty of Brahmanas, and thus he began his prayers to Lord Shiva. Om Ajnanatimandasya Jnananjana Salakaya Chakshurmitanyena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Yeah. We see here Daksha Prajapati after his coming to senses, after punished by Lord Shiva and coming into senses. First of all, we see in the previous two verses his heart gets afflicted by remembering the fate of his daughter, Sati. So his heart got softened. We see when Sati committed suicide, at that time Daksha's heart was not softened. But after his punishment, where he got humbled, his heart got softened, and he started, then after his heart getting softened, he started offering prayers to Lord Shiva. in these particular words, where we see that he's mentioning to Lord Shiva that both him and Lord Vishnu are very kind to the Brahmanas, though they are not qualified. So Prabhupada mentions in the purport about Brahma Bandhu, the descendant of a Brahmana. They're not necessarily completely qualified at times, just like Aswatthama, the son of great Brahmana Dronacharya, was not qualified. And he killed the sleeping sons of the Pandava. And still, Arjuna, though requested by Lord Krishna to kill him, forgive Aswatthama. Forgive Aswatthama. Though, since he's the son of a Brahmana, you forgive him. So similarly, Daksha is mentioning that Lord Shiva and Lord Vishnu are always merciful to the Brahmanas. Namo Brahmana Devaya, Go Brahmana Hitaya. Right, always merciful to the Brahmanas. And somehow other, even in their punishment to them, is for their own rectification, so that they can follow the Brahmanical duties in a proper mood. Yeah, that's all I have to say.
Some thoughts here. In 11, Bhavastavaya Kritadhi, he'd decided to offer prayers. He wished to offer prayers to Lord Shiva, but Nashaknod, he couldn't do it. Anuragata, because he was feeling overwhelmed by emotion. We're reminded that this is found, such feelings are found in relationship to Krishna, Anurag. When there's some consciousness of Krishna, devotion to Krishna, then various feelings can arise as a consequence of devotional service, and they manifest in different ways, by tears in the eyes, by choking of the voice, by shivering of the body, or by other signs of devotional service or devotional love. And then the devotee, if he wants to serve, has to check those feelings. If he wants to offer prayers to the Lord, or if he wants to serve the Lord. We're reminded that one servant of Krishna was fanning the Lord, but then he was feeling trembling of the body, and so that he couldn't fan properly, or was interfering with his fan. So he checked those feelings. He didn't think, oh, good, here's some transcendental ecstatic symptoms. He checked them because they were an impediment to his devotional service. Kantyad, he was Lord Shiva, Daksha was eager to glorify the Lord. Bashpakalaya, he had tears in his eyes. Samparetam sutam smana, remembering the death of his daughter. The people present at the yajna criticized Daksha. They thought, what a hard-hearted person, that he didn't even try to prevent his own daughter from taking her life. What kind of person is he? He was just so stubborn and obstinate and proud that he even let his daughter kill herself. So now he's coming to his senses, and now he's regretting that he brought about the death of his own daughter. I see that It starts here. First, he remembers his daughter. He doesn't remember his offense first. He doesn't remember how he blasphemed Lord Shiva. He remembers the death of his daughter. So, all right, that means his consciousness is clearing up. Previously, there was no such regret, no such feeling. He was callous. But now that his consciousness is becoming purified, he can feel this. Some places one definition of a psychopath is a person who has no feeling for others. He can do anything because he has no empathy, no feeling. He's somehow or other callous to everything. But a sane person will feel for others. What is that? Atmopam yena sarvatra samam pashyati orjuna sukham va yaridab va dukkam yogi paramo. He'll feel distress at the distress of others, and he'll feel happiness when others are happy. So here, Daksha, coming to his senses, has appropriate feelings about the death of his daughter, which he himself had brought about. Prishtrad samstabhya chamana. So he steadies himself. Samstabhya means Prishtrad, with great difficulty. Samstabhya, he again established himself in stability. Prema vivdalata, prema vivdalita, sudhi. Now his consciousness was becoming good, and so he was overwhelmed with love and affection, not only for his daughter, but for Lord Shiva. Shashamsa nirvyalikein bhavanesham prajapati. And so Prajapati now nirvyalikein, without duplicity, with genuine love, begins to offer his prayers with great feeling to Lord Shiva. This was not just Om Namo Shivaya, Om Namo Shivaya, Om Namo Shivaya, where we mechanically, Panchakopatarubhyas Chakravashamyavi, but with great feeling, he offers his prayers. In offering prayers, that's the main thing. It's not the poetry, it's not the voice, it's not the astonishingly good Sanskrit. Those things may be appreciated, but the main thing is one's pure consciousness and one's feeling for the Lord. Then, Bhuyan Anugraha Ho Bhavata Kutome. So you've done me a favor, Anugraha. Although you've punished me, actually it's a favor for me. Danda, Anugraha, it's a punishment, but it's a favor. Brahma Bandhusha. And here, even the son of a Brahmin is respected. We see that in ordinary dealings, that someone has done something roguish, but because he's the son of a big politician or a judge or someone respectable, there's some leniency for him. So here, even though he's Brahma Bandhushu, all right, at least he's that. He has some connection with Brahman. At least he's the son of a Brahmin. That's something. And he prays to Lord Shiva that you're so kind that you don't neglect even the son of a Brahmin. That means he doesn't say, I'm a Brahmin, and so, no, I'm a fallen son of a Brahmin, but still you're so kind that you haven't neglected me. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Maharaj. Saraswati Mata says, the new Ramayan showed that when Ravana was shot fatally by Lord Ram, Before he died, Lord Ram instructed Lakshman to receive some spiritual instructions from Ravana, who was a son of a Brahmana and was actually very knowledgeable in the Vedas. Then Ravana came to his senses and accepted that he was guilty and very sinful, and he finally understood how merciful Lord Ram was and agreed to give his realizations to Lakshmana, who was not initially particularly wanting to hear anything from Ravana.
Very nice, but what is this new Ramayana? Is this the new film version, or what do we mean by new Ramayana?
Maharaj, there's a new show, Srimad Ramayan, on the TV. Hare Krishna.
Somehow I've missed it so far. This is all good, just where we may be a little, what's the word, cautious about the source here. I once heard, who was it? Oh, I'm forgetting her name. Bhashuta Narayana. She's a South Indian Vaishnavi who's a professor of religious studies. And she related that in her research, there was some point that she was unclear about. So she thought, well, I'll ask my mother, she would know this point. And they went back and forth about it a little bit. And then the mother said, well, that's not how it was and she cited some film version. So in this way, films become Shastra. Therefore, Prabhupada was very careful that when we do paintings, when we do dramas, when we do kirtan, that everything should be authentic, that we have to follow the authorities. Otherwise, it becomes mental concoction or imagination. And then the mental concoction or imagination becomes standard. It becomes authoritative. People say, well, that's in the new Ramayana, this, or in the B.R. Chopra version, that. And so it's incumbent upon those who write books or who perform dramas or kirtan or what have you. It's incumbent upon them to strictly follow the version of the acharyas and the text and not imagine. So I'm not accusing the new Ramayana of imagination. I haven't seen it, but we should be careful about that and make sure that what we've seen does correspond to the text. Sometimes we know that the translators even invent things. There's some Mahabharata out there, sort of a very simple version, not by an ISKCON devotee. And the translator just forthrightly says that I sort of came up with this, in this portion I added this, or I did that. And it's just her own inspiration, but not in the text. So we should be careful about that.
And Marari Gupta Prabhu says, Hare Krishna Maharaj, it's not uncommon for non-devotees to choke up and be unable to speak due to emotions. What's the difference between that and when it happens to a devotee? Often devotees who are not exceptional among devotees break down when remembering Srila Prabhupada and have trouble speaking. Is this somehow different to when it happens to non-devotees?
It's the same manifestation. It's emotion, it's tears, blood, it's choking of the voice. But for the non-devotees, it's in relation to something apart from Krishna. And for the devotees, it's in relationship to Krishna. Just as we hear that when there's emotion for our own sense gratification, that's called kam. And when there's emotion for Krishna's sense gratification, that's called prema. So there may be, the materialist may be overwhelmed with emotion because his dog died. And remembering how faithful the dog was, his eyes may be filled with tears. And he may feel separation. He was such a good dog. But that's in relationship to dog. And so it's material emotion. It's, Prabhupada said, perverted reflection. The love is meant for Krishna, but it's diverted to something else. So it still looks like love, but it's distorted, contaminated, perverted, because it's misdirected. It's consciousness. Consciousness means thinking, feeling, willing. But his consciousness is polluted, so he's thinking about something material. He's feeling, has deep feelings in relation to something material. And his desires, his intentions are also directed towards some material thing. Even if, I've taken the sort of ridiculous example of being devoted to a dog. But on a more refined level, one feels for humanity, one feels for the poor orphans or for the victims of war or what have you. And that's natural, that's expected, not that you'll be callous and psychopathic. But still, that love is actually meant for Krishna, not for the unfortunate animals that are being driven to extinction, or for the victims of this or that. That should be there. But to be in its proper form, it should be in relationship to Krishna, and ultimately directed toward Krishna. So it's, again, everything that's here is, in its pure form, is related to Krishna, or directed toward Krishna. Is that okay?
Yes, he says, thank you, Maharaj. And Radhesha Prabhu is quoting from, my guess is the Ramayana. He says, that arrow released with great speed and which was capable of destroying the body tore into the evil-minded Ravana. That arrow, which was capable of causing death to the body, after taking away the life of Ravana and having been anointed with blood, penetrated the earth, smeared with blood on having killed Ravana, and thereby accomplishing its mission. That arrow re-entered its own quiver of Ram silently. And so Radhesha's commentary here is, no time to give instructions to Lakshmana.
And then, by the way, for us, the authoritative text is Valmiki Ramayana. There are many, many Ramayans, some of them very famous and much appreciated. But the original authoritative Ramayana accepted by Srila Prabhupada is Valmiki Ramayana.
Maharaj, one thing really struck me quite strongly about Prabhupada's commentary here. He says, Lord Shiva punished Daksha not as one does his enemy. Rather, he punished Daksha just to bring him to his senses so that he would know that he had done wrong. To me, it seems that this points out how important it is for anyone in a position of authority, fathers, spiritual masters, certainly Lord Shiva, how it's incumbent upon them to have some power to see, well, what sort of punishment is going to have the desired result of bringing someone to their senses. I'm reminded of Narad Muni, who tailor-made a curse for Nalakuvara and Manigriva that had its intended effect, that once they came out of the bodies of trees, they realized the mistake they had made and were very properly respectful. But it seems that most of the punishments that we see in the world nowadays are so short-sighted in their scope, and therefore we see people making the same stupid mistakes over and over again without having this change of heart that is really required to stop the whole cycle of karma and offense.
Tasmat Shastra Pramanam Te, Karya Karya Vyavastita. Therefore, we should know from Shastra what to do, who's eligible for punishment, who's ineligible for punishment. That's the first thing, and then what's the proper punishment? These things one has to see very carefully. Otherwise, if one doesn't go by Shastra, if one goes by sentiment or vox populi, then one has some slogan, whatever it is, death to this and death to that, and zero tolerance and whatever. And so the slogan takes precedence. The mundane estimations take precedence, or the desire to be in line with accepted practice, accepted mundane standards comes to the fore. And then we punish a person who's not eligible to be punished. We punish someone to bring him to it, and then we sort of say, yes, we're doing this so that he can repent, so that he can come to his senses, so that he can become purified. And we don't notice that we're punishing someone for something that happened ages in the past and for which he's already repented and that he's been purified in consciousness. Sadhu eva samantavya. And so we act improperly because we're not acting according to Shastra or according to purified vision. We're acting according to some mundane convention. And then first of all, we punish the wrong person, or a person who's not meant to be punished. And then we come up with some punishment which is inappropriate for, of course, first because the person shouldn't be punished. But even then, the punishments, how do you purify a person who's already purified? And what purposes are you trying to achieve? That's one side. Another side is there may be persons who are incorrigible. No amount of punishment, no kind of punishment will change their heart. They're not, sympathy for them is again inappropriate. That, oh, the poor person, he grew up in a blah, 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 and he didn't mean it, and blah, 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 blah. And then, of course, he repeats his offense. Because no punishment, whatever punishment you gave him, isn't going to work. You send him to jail for 30 years, and after 30 years he comes out and does the same thing. Because no amount of punishment is going to work. Krishna consciousness might work, but just punishment won't work. Your punishment's not going to change his heart, either because it's the wrong punishment or the wrong person. And therefore, the kings were very strict. They didn't just say, oh, now die. That's the good punishment. That will purify you. Good purification for you is to give up your life. First of all, there'll be no question of repeat offenses, at least in this life. You're not going to rape anyone else or steal from anyone else, or whatever the offense might be. And second of all, you'll be freed from the reactions. So this is anugraha, mercy. Otherwise, you get, what is that? That's mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita. Adharmam dharmam itiya manyate tamasavrata viparitamscha buddhisa partatamasi. Give me a second. What's the verse? Anyway, you can find it for him. But the meaning is that when a person is in the mode of ignorance, adharmam dharmam itiya, he thinks that dharma is adharma, and that dharma, that adharma is dharma. That means he doesn't know what to do and what not to do. Dharmam dharmam itiya manyate tamasavrata, because he's covered by ignorance. And therefore viparita, he acts always, he does things always the opposite, backwards.
Sarvarthan viparitangscha.
Sarvarthan viparitam va. Sarvarthan, in all matters, he acts backwards. Otherwise, in the mode of passion, he's unclear about what's to be done and what not to be done. He's confused. He sometimes gets it right, sometimes gets it wrong. So when we're in passion and ignorance, then we mess up. Or if we're following those who are in passion and ignorance, then we mess up. We either do a slipshod job, sometimes right, sometimes wrong, or we just do exactly the opposite thing. And so we punish a person who's not eligible to be punished, and we fail to punish a person who ought to be punished. So tasmat shastra pramanante. One has to know from shastra, considering not only the receiver of the punishment, but also others. If this person's not checked, then he'll again and again and again do these things. And then there's no safety, no security for people. And the government deserves no confidence because it can't even give protection to the innocent citizens. It protects the criminals. Perhaps the government is led by criminals, so it protects the criminals and lets those who are criminal and then punishes those who are innocent, who don't deserve to be punished. It takes the ordinary citizen who has hardly any money and taxes him to death and finds all sorts of ways to protect the wealth of those who deserve to part with some of their wealth, a reasonable amount of their wealth for the public welfare. So in this way, a degraded government doesn't know what to do and what not to do. And then the citizens suffer, or it knows how to protect the human beings, but doesn't know how to protect the animals. Again, an ignorant and misdirected government. Even as we were seeing yesterday, a booth for a government lottery. So lottery means degradation, gambling, and the government is sponsoring it. So doesn't know what to do, what not to do. Just sees, oh, we can get some money. And at whose expense? At the expense of the poor. According to the literature, I can't cite chapter and verse right now. You know, who bets on the lottery? The most foolish people. That means low class, ignorant. And so then you sponsor a government lottery for the upliftment of those who are poor and ignorant. So you're cheating, like double cheating. But you take it, yes, we raised $40 million for the upliftment of the poor through the lottery. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Maharaj. Thank you. We've come to the top of the hour, and there's a remaining chat question from Murai Gupta Prabhu, which sounds like it could result in an entire seminar. Is karmic reaction intended to change a person or just cause them suffering in proportion to their actions?
Yeah. Topic for Wednesday.
We'll bring that up again on Wednesday. I'll copy and paste and make a note. And meanwhile, is your in-house kirtan band prepared to sing more, or shall we have
Are you
someone?
prepared to sing more in-house band? Oh, yeah.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Jai Om Vishnuvad Purnam Suparipad Kacharya Ashto Tadasatafi Srimad A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnavrinda Ki Jai Namacharya Shri Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vashadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai Sri Sri Radha Krishna Gopinath Sham Kund Radha Kund Giri Govardhan Ki Jai Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai Navdeep Dham Ki Jai Jagannath Puri Ki Jai Ganga Mai Ki Jai Jamuna Mai Ki Jai Tulsi Devi Ki Jai Bhakti Devi Ki Jai Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. Gaur Premanande.
Hari Bol. Thank you so much, Maharaj, and thank you to the on-site Kirtan band. Maria Gupta Prabhu says, many thanks, Maharaj, and all the assembled devotees. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, His Holiness Jayadvaita Swami Maharaj ki jai.
Samaveta Bhakta Ki Jai. Gaur Premanande.
Thank you, Maharaj. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Thank you, Shara. And thank you to all. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.